You know, bullying has really been at the forefront of conversation for some time now, but lately it's been on a whole new level now that Miami Dolphins lineman Richie Incognito is accused of bullying teammate Jonathan Martin with physically and abusive behavior to the point that he left the team. So joining us to talk about it this morning is author of Shattered Image, My Triumph Over My Body, or Over Body, I should say.
Over body dysmorphic disorder.
Yes.
Tough work to get out, that's okay.
Brian Cuban, so thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Jenny.
This is interesting because you and I were talking about this very topic, and you said, you know, we really need to go back and talk about what bullying is anyway, because it has kind of become just a catchphrase for everything.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, bullying is something we normally associate with children.
Yeah.
And it is developed in a way where basically, I'll be the first to say, adults have co-opted the term to mean anything that hurts our feelings. And that's very dangerous because that filters down to our children and how they perceive bullying. A perfect example is the guy that filed a bullying complaint against the coach because his son's team got creamed.
Sure. And you're saying that's not bullying. And tell me what that definition is, because there is a definition that a few different groups have put out there.
That's right. There is a definition of bullying, and there are basic factors that you look at. One, is it targeted? Two, is it designed to cause pain, either physical or emotional, psychological? Three, is it repetitive? And most importantly, as it applies to adults, is there a perceived or actual power differential between the parties?
Okay.
Because most time when adults are getting into these things and they're claiming they're bullied, especially in social media, I see it all the time. People call me a bully because I'm not always nice to people on Twitter.
Sure.
And they, and they say, you're bullying me. Now wait a minute. Where's the power differential here? You don't have to be on Twitter. You don't have to be on Facebook. So we have to look at it in that context.
Okay.
Now, where there's an exception is in the workplace.
You have to be at work,
because
more or less.
In the workplace, it's kind of a closed cage. You can't just leave. There can be a perceived or actual power differential. If your boss, your coworkers, you don't want to be ostracized. Most people cannot just quit their jobs.
Sure.
So you are stuck in the situation, and therefore, in the workplace, in my view, is one of the few places adults can truly be bullied under the standard definitions.
So let's talk about this specific case, regarding Incognito. When there are still a lot of details that need to be investigated.
Absolutely.
We know that the NFL is looking into this, but from what we know, what's common knowledge about this case, is this bullying, or could this potentially be bullying?
Let's go back and look at the factors and the benchmarks. Was it targeted? Yes. Was it designed to inflict emotional or physical pain? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Three, was it repetitive? It sounds like it was. Is there a power differential, perceived or actual power differential? It sounds like, and this is where it gets fuzzy because you don't know how you don't know how they were raised. You don't know how the person was raised, what his mental outlook is, whether he's a shy person, a quiet person. Because football is a violent sport does not mean you are a violent person, and these stereotypes come into play.
Right.
So people at work, you don't want to be ostracized. You don't want to, you want to keep your job. That is a perceived power differential. So if you look at those things, it sounds like he doesn't want to be ostracized, by the other football players. You're forced to go along. On the ground level of all the benchmarks, yes, it sounds like bullying. Anyone can be bullied if you have certain, factors in play.
Okay.
So when you start saying football players can't be bullied because he's 6'4", or it's and he's a big guy and it's a violent sport, that's dangerous because that filters down as a message to our children. All of a sudden, your child's saying, well, you know what? My dad says this guy can't be bullied, so I'm not bullying this person. And that contradicts the messages our children hear in school. I speak to high schools about bullying, and those kind of messages are different than the messages they're getting in school about what is bullying. That causes problems.
And I know this is something that you dealt with and you talk about further in your book as well. Absolutely.
I mean, I was bullied. I was 6'1", 260 pounds, bullied over my weight, bigger than most of the kids that were bullying. And I was 13 to 16 years old. And don't forget, this guy's only 24 years old?
24 years old. He's very young man.
Yes, he's an adult, but he's young. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of life experiences yet to understand bullying and things like that. Who knows how he grew up? Who knows how Incognito grew up? So when we just start stereotyping, I find that dangerous. Not only dangerous in what bullying is, but dangerous in what our children are learning.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Brian Cuban, thank you so much. Interesting insight for us to think about regarding what the actual definition of bullying is. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. And you can get more info on our website, myfoxdfw.com. And Good Day Sunday. We'll be right back after this quick break.